Alright guys, real quick, this is Captain George Beckwith from Down East Guide Service. He's going to do a seminar on cobia fishing, sight fishing for him, also anchored up fishing for him about the shoals, touching on some bottom fish stuff.
Be giving away my spots. I already tell them my spots, man. This is not about the spots, this is how to do it,
Well,
how to find them. You're giving away my spots already.
Too late.
Alright.
He's going to tell you all the secrets. Cobia season's coming up here in the next few weeks, and they're already starting to show, so feel free to ask questions, GPS numbers, whatever you want, he's got it.
We're passing out notes at the end. Hey, thank you guys a bunch. It's a pleasure to be here at New Sport Shop for the seminar series, and this month we're going to be talking about cobia fishing. Normally by the first week of May, things have fired off and it's really, really good, but this is a late spring, had a lot of cool water temps, and things are just getting started, so you haven't missed a thing. Come on, New Sport Shop, grab you some eels and some bucktails and get out there after them. Something else you're going to want to get while you're looking for cobia or going out cobia fishing is you want to get rigged up with some Clark spoons, some #1 planers, Clark spoons. They'll show you how to rig them up, how to pull planers, and with that, what we're going to do is we're going to troll for Spanish mackerel. And I know, we're trolling for Spanish mackerel, that's not real sporty, but if you got some wife and family and kids on the boat, it gives them something to do while you're looking for cobia, because the same places that you're going to catch Spanish mackerel, that's where you're going to be finding the cobia. That means the water temperature is going to be at least 65 degrees, if not a little bit warmer. There's going to be some bait around. The cobia, they'll stage offshore in 100 feet of water or deeper until the water along the beach warms up to about 65 degrees, and then they're going to come ashore. Ideally, there's going to be some bait balls along the beach they'll be feeding on and keep them there. But they'll come ashore, and they're coming ashore to spawn. There's not a lot known about their life history, except they do grow really fast until they reach sexual maturity. So the males are going to stop growing before the females. The females are going to be much bigger. The males are going to be right at that under legal size of 33 inches fork length. You may get some males that are a little bit bigger, but the fish that we're keying in on are the bigger females. So don't be afraid, take that in consideration. Don't be afraid to let a big cobia go. For one thing, they're not as good eating as a 30 or 40 pounder, one in that range. Those 70, 80 pound fish, they're fun to show off, but they've got the potential to make a whole lot of babies. So as you become a better cobia fisherman and start catching more of them with the help from this seminar and the staff at New Sport Shop, hopefully you'll have that opportunity to let some big cobia go, but take the little ones for the grill. So they're coming ashore to spawn, and they're a funny fish. They're real curious fish, and they do some real curious things. They'll be when we're sight casting them, they could pop up anywhere. Yeah, they'll hang out around buoys. We've heard that. Sometimes they'll be on a buoy and they'll just be circling it. And most of the time, it's going to be more than one fish. You're going to have a big female, and then you're going to have those smaller males that are around that fish. They're going to be up on the surface sunning, right up on the surface where you can see them. So that's where the Spanish mackerel fishing goes on. As you're trolling around for Spanish, you got everybody looking in the back of the boat, bailing Spanish in. Somebody's want to keep an eye out with a bucktail rigged up for a cruising fish. Could be 3 or 4 of them, could be just one of them. It could be hanging around turtles. Be real careful about the sea turtles. Don't cast at the turtle. Cast way behind the turtle. That's where the cobias would be. It could be around buoys. It could be around a piece of trash or grass line. It could be on a temperature change. But all the kind of places that, inshore along the beaches that you're going to be looking for Spanish, you're going to be looking for cobia. When I say a bucktail, there's a bunch of different bucktails that you can use. I've got a little kind of a custom deal here. I really like orange and yellow, or orange and red. Those orange colored bucktails, maybe one with a red tail or a chartreuse tail. On most of the cobia that we clean, almost every one of them has got crabs, these little calico crabs in their belly. And they're an orange colored crab, and I think what happens is these fish feed on the crabs on the bottom, and then as the day warms up, the sun's out, they'll come up to the surface and just cruise. And that big female is going to be cruising along. She's going to have 2 or 3 males behind her. And it may be they're warming up their body temperature to help with the digestion of the crabs. The other thing you're going to see around them is inside their bellies. When you clean them, is a lot of times we find stingrays, whole stingrays that could be that far across from tip to tip on the wings. Apparently they love eating these little stingrays. You know, they're probably catching them there as they root around on the bottom of the crabs. But it's something to think about when you're cleaning a cobia and you're cutting around the stomach and pulling stuff out to look at what he's eating. Be careful for those stingray barbs, because I have been stuck by them before. But when we see a cobia on the surface, ideally what we're going to want to do is don't spook them, don't get too close to them. Try to keep the RPMs of the motor about where it is and stay beside them. Cast the bucktail in front of him and crank it in a little bit till he sees it. Now, how many people out here have done exactly this? Say, Captain Jordan, this is what I was doing. I cast the bucktail out, the cobia swam right for it, and I wound it in. He wouldn't eat it, he wouldn't eat it. He swam all the way to the boat. When he saw the boat, he took off and went away. It happened to you? Yeah, well, look, let me tell you what you're doing wrong. You got to get that bucktail where he sees it, but then let it sink. Let it go out of sight, because most of the time, when the cobia eat the bucktail, they actually, even though you're seeing the fish and it's sight casting, most of the time when they hit that bucktail, it's out of sight. So when he goes on that bucktail, what I want you to do is jerk it up real hard and keep the line tight, following it down. Jerk it up and keep the line tight. And as you jerk it up, and every time you jerk it, you're not taking too many turns on the handle, because every time you jerk it, I want it to sink a little bit farther. Jerk it up and sink a little bit farther, and you'll see that cobia, he'll turn on his side, and he'll just be watching that bucktail go up and down. And when it gets out of the sight, one of the times you go to jerk up, he's going to be on there. So jerk it again and again and again, and put the heat on him. What I'm using is I'm using these Therese rods. They are super, super, super rods. And see what this one is. I've got a Saragossa 10,000 on it with 50-pound braid. On these, I really like the braided line for your bucktails. And what you want to do is you want to have 2 bucktails rigged up, because when you get that first cobia on, you hook them. Even though you hook them out of sight, there were 2 or 3 fish there. It might be you just hooked the little one. That's okay. When he comes up to the surface, many, many times those other ones will be right there with it. And if you got your second bucktail rod rigged up, then you can hook your double header. So there's nothing worse than having a hot cobia on the end of the line, and there's 2 or 3 swimming with it, and you got nothing else rigged up for them. So you need to come get you 2 rods and rigged up with bucktails, so you can catch your double header. The other way that we're fishing for them that really fired off and got real popular about 4 years ago is fishing around the Menhaden bait balls. And there are a lot of bait balls coming up the coast. They typically come up on the beach within a mile of the beach, 30, 40 feet of water. This morning they were in a little bit tight on the breakers, but I like them a little bit deeper. I like a bait ball which is, you know, may or may not have birds on it, but it's real tight on the surface, like the backs are trying to get out of them. And you may not see cobia there, but some predators are down there underneath that school forcing that bait to the surface. And you can take these same bucktails, take the bucktail, cast it out on the other side of the bait ball, cast it right in the bait ball, let it sink down out of sight, and really jig and jerk and jig and jerk. And I pulled up the bait balls where there were 2 or 3 boats on the bait ball, and they were waiting for the cobia to show up. Every once in a while they'll come up and cruise around the edge, and everybody cast, and I'll pull up and everybody's standing there, they're just waiting for a cobia to show up. Man, throw your lure out there, get it on the bottom, and jerk it. If you don't get one, that's okay. To find out whether they're there or not for sure, what you'll probably get when you cast that bucktail through the school of Menhaden is you're probably going to snag some Menhaden. Or you can catch them with a little itty bitty cast net. And it doesn't take many Menhaden, but take a couple of Menhaden, and this is the same rig that I use grouper fishing. And you don't want to cast it, you just want to, we got a big weight, a 10-ounce weight, a 3-way swivel, nice 8/0, 9/0 circle hook, and about a 2-foot leader. Drop it straight down on the bottom and just idle around. Just idle around with that weight. That big weight's going to keep it down on the bottom, even though you're just in 20 or 30 feet of water. And just idle around. And when you get bit, you don't have to set the hook or anything. All you got to do is start cranking. The rod's you're going to see the bait get nervous. It's going to bounce and start laying over. Just start cranking. A lot of times that bait thrashing around, you think it's just the bait, but there's a lot of bluefish in those baitfish schools. So check your bait a bunch, and checking your bait a bunch is the key to successfully catching these fish on the bottom.